Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 14. She padded along the corridor. A warehouse with a clear span of 18 m. The tugging at the skirt. The star bent down in her cropped dress. Exclusion clauses. The plaintiffs were entitled to damages. The ship was requisitioned by the French government. The owners of a wharf. Owing to illness she was unable to appear. His discharge from the hospital. Those germs might lead to vaginal discharge. Directors must use skill in the discharge of their duties. Industrial plants discharge highly toxic materials into rivers. The defendants chartered a ship from the plaintiffs. The defendants purported to terminate the contract. Seaworthiness. She falls ill and misses the last 2 rehearsals. Beads and sequins on the dress. The enactment of the unfair laws. The warehouseman. Damages are monetary compensation for a loss. She was awarded $284,000 in damages. The obligation to pay damages to the other party. The party in default has repudiated the contract. Grilled lamb chops with minted potatoes. He was suing the lessee for the arrears of rent. Accelerated capital allowances. The rationale behind this is their moralis. He chartered a plane to take him to Paris. He repays his indebtedness on time. Cash receipts from sales of property. Cash proceeds from issuing shares. Brought forward receivables. Brought forward payables. Proceeds will help purchase new equipment. A car collided with a stationary vehicle. The stationary supplier. Cash flow is less subjective than profit. The residence object to the volume of traffic. Property in this context means legal title. Concluding a contract addressed to one person. To manufacture 100 garden rakes. Without undue delay. Exotic birds. He planted exotics in the sheltered garden. Do you think me a naive or stupid? Investing in art is ideal for naive investors. Irrecoverable debts. Even an irrevocable offer may be withdrawn. Scolding, chastising, and reprimanding them. A cunning look came into his eyes. I simply immersed myself in novel ideas. Some contracts must be by deed. She contracted influenza. The offerer offered to pay. Contravention of the Protection of Birds Act. Losses amounted to over $10 million. 10. A price list does not amount to an offer. The troops were stationed in the town. A registered pharmacist was stationed at this point. Observable differences. Those are complicit in some criminal conspiracy. He is a reliable informant. The world is completely explicable in his own terms. Provisional agreement. A unilateral contract. Forbearance from taking action. Every morning a wave of nausea hits me. Cancer chemotherapy can cause severe nausea. A deviation from the perpendicular. The vehicle has a definite lean to the left. The lean winter months. Pertinent to the decision-making process. Precept intercepts with custom. She was awarded the Purple Heart. A collateralized debt obligation. CDO. Amphibious and aquatic organisms. Accused of using municipal funds for personal gain. The notion that the camera never lies is a fallacy. Naval fleet. Stomach pain below the navel. The merger plan is formally announced. An experienced employee will outperform the novice. There are a number of anomalies in the system. His dog sniffed at my trousers. He gave a sniff of disapproval. The case centers around the property. The favor was reciprocated. Syrians avoid people who don't reciprocate a favor. Are we able to reciprocate their welcoming gestures? Here are some generic examples. To police the fulfillment of the contracts. The country has lapsed into chaos. Let the option lapse. Speculators are often scorned in the press. I do not wish to become an object of scorn. On the edge of a precipice, she reassured herself. Unilateral nuclear disarmament. Evidence of a unilateral cerebellar lesion. An illicit liaison. 7 green ears of corn. 7 lean cows. We did not foresee any difficulties. He was a complete novice in foreign affairs. Freight train carries the equivalent of 75 lorry loads. To levy a huge duties against his property value. The applicability of the convention is clear. She felt mean for not giving a tip. Incursions into enemy territory. There are glaring omissions in the report. A menacing tone of his voice. Fear and apprehension. Data tells which products should be cross-sold. She briefed him on last week's decisions. His hat looked slightly skew. The car has skewed across the track. Skewered fish and meat. A metal rod skewered his skull. Payments due. I paid off my debts. Reports of skirmishing along the border. We are offering discounts for early birds. The unemployment rate rose almost 5-fold. The price of electricity rose 4-fold. The aftershocks intensify 3-fold. His rent had gone up 7-fold. Do our best to retrieve our prestige. Using the algebraic method of apportionment. Disproportionate manner. Its legs are out of proportion to its body. Proportionate justice is neither attainable nor desirable. Shoplifting has reached epidemic proportions. He had a pronounced squint. Quintessentially and fundamentally. A portion of the jetty still stands like other jetties. The fish are portioned out to the different families. The couple messes around in the sea. He was born and raised in Scotland. Their mantra seems to be the more, the merrier. A system of charging a flat rate per household. So you're just going to phase me out? He finally caves and tells her to calm down. To fight the unjust enrichment. Enrichment of the soil for more plant growth. A centrifuge plant for uranium enrichment. Business of launderers and dyers. Young pigs contracted a rare intestinal disease. Death from illness was too remote. He was ejected in breach of the license. He sued for damages. Heating is regarded as a basic amenity. A genuine pre-estimate of loss. It's difficult to make out what she's saying. The plane took off an hour late. Estoppel is a common law principle. The exclusive rights to sell confectionery in the theater. Do you get on with your neighbors? Have a good relationship with. Certain transactions were not totally above board. Stoplight is another term for traffic light. He illuminates with a spotlight. A self-reliant little girl. I know I can rely on your discretion. To sate the irrational instincts. The saturated fats. She would fail to hold a cursory conversation. They could not speak English at the last census. She was neglected and malnourished. Would that unhinge your mind? Stories hinged on impending disaster. The loneliness has nearly unhinged him. Wooden pallets. Instantaneous communication. Production runs. Stiffening penalties for traffic violations. He tripped over his cat. An intruder trips the alarm. As a result of the tumble, he became besotted with his new friend. I managed to pass off the fake money in the market. Negligent acts tend to be inadvertent or reckless. Privity of contract. He announced that he intended to run for president. He's had a run of bad luck. The tabloids ran the story. They run drugs for the cocaine cartels. A new photocopier will run us about $1,000. Revenue streams. Scrap is discarded material having some value. An officious bystander. The inquisitive tour groups. We had sores on our hands. There is little information on the efficacy of this treatment. A septic tank or the sewer mains. This clause was a bar to an action in court. Visible weakness certainly wrung the heart. A disheveled appearance. A silent moment spanned an eternity. An insurmountable problem. An antidote or a panacea to poisoning. Later he eloped with one of the maids. Sleepiness and lethargy. Conceited gait. Trousers with a slouchy belt. Too soon to tell, he laconically riposted. Sunlight is vital for photosynthesis. Wry smile. They were subjugated by force of arms. The blizzard became severe on the afternoon. The end. Coming next. Session 15.